Okay, y'all, we're having a conversation today. I've got some slides, but we're going to roll through them pretty quickly. The name of the game today is pitching, which is a little ironic for 1 million cups, consider we never pitch. But here today in this workshop, we are going to talk about how the heck to pitch to prospects and leads, specifically using conversational approaches. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, I'm Morgan. I already introduced myself a little bit. Primarily what I do is I help job seekers, and have become a pitching expert over the last few years of running my business, not just because I pitch to clients on a daily basis, but because I help my clients pitch themselves when they go into interview situations, when they're negotiating. Every single situation that a job seeker is in is a kind of pitch, and I'm also pitching to them. So it creates kind of this beautiful cycle of pitching. And now today I'm going to share everything that I have learned from you, but also hoping that we can all share with each other as well. Beautiful. So the plan for today, we're going to talk about pitching fears and confidences. We're going to talk about tailoring your pitch to your audience, the specific elements of your pitch that you might want to bring in, and then how to qualify leads through conversation. And finally, we're going to do some mock pitching. Just a heads up to Matthew, we're going to want breakout rooms of 2 here in a little bit. So you're ready for that. So everybody will get to jump into a room and you'll get to actually practice your pitching. And then we'll come back together and we'll hear from each other about how those pitches went. Beautiful. So just a reminder, this is a conversational program today, and we're going to start with our pitching fears. So pitching can really feel like constant rejection as a business owner or as a job seeker. Whenever you're trying to sell something, there's a high likelihood that those people aren't going to bite. We're looking for those really good leads, but if you think that you can handle rejection, man, sales and pitching is going to teach you really how to handle that. If you're feeling like you're struggling with it, I recommend the 100 no's exercise, but I'm going to have you all grab a pen and paper now, or there is a link in the chat to a worksheet that you can kind of follow along with here today. And I want you guys to take 2 minutes and think about what are your top 3 concerns about pitching. So what makes you anxious? What makes you queasy? Whenever you're in a pitching or interviewing situation, like what doesn't go so well? So I'm setting that 2-minute timer. I'm going to go quiet here for a second. Take a second and we'll come back, and I want to hear from y'all about what are those pitching fears. Ready, go.
Morgan,
Yes,
while they're all diligently doing their homework assignment, it's 2 people per room, correct?
correct.
Cool. I will have that queued up.
Beautiful. Thank you. And for the sake of time, I think we'll go with 1 minute. So another like couple of seconds here and we'll start picking up. All right, y'all, let's hear them. We're all entrepreneurs here today. What are you afraid of when it comes to pitching?
Are we coming on audio, Morgan?
Yeah, come on, chat with me, Brian. I know you're a pitching expert. Tell me what's up.
I love helping people, but pitching feels gross.
Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding here. So what about it feels gross?
Sometimes there is some information that I feel like, or a way to look at what I'm trying to offer people in order to make sure it feels like it's valuable to them. But if I have to convince them it's valuable, there's this question in my mind, like, how hard do I press in order to make sure that I feel like they understand my perspective on how it can be helpful? But it's really hard to make that not feel like I'm just trying to take money from somebody. Like, you know what I mean? It's like pitching feels like a question of intent. Like I did do this because I love it and not because it pays a lot of money. Quite frankly, it pays a lot less than what I used to make. But on the other end, how can I message that in a way that feels authentic and not about like I need to pay my mortgage, and more like, no, I really love helping people.
Yeah. So coming from a place of authenticity, but still trying to drive to that sale. I'd love to see like a show of hands. How many people feel like pitching can be gross? Okay, couple of folks. Yeah. How about other fears here? Let's hear from somebody else. Jackie.
I liked what I said, Brian, that said the intent, because I think that's what it is. It's sometimes if you take the initiative to pitch, because it's kind of coming, and you're up at the front of the room, so you're pitching. You can adjust your intention, but when you're pitching, when you're asked what do you do, what do you offer, what is it can come across like that button, that switch turns on, and the intent is, oh, let me tell you how I can sell you, like, to my brain. So that's why when it's mostly during networking, and then I get that question, I do not like being asked, what do you do? Because do is too ambiguous. Ask it, I'd like to be asked in a different way. What brings you here today? Things like that. That opens up my mind to have a more natural approach. But if I get, what do you do? That sets me onto, I do XYZ, and like, how am I gonna? And my mind is trying to come up with, how am I gonna deliver value that you're going to see, I think, right away. Right. So that's why all that makes it feel gross, because it's too much thinking.
Yeah. Am I reading this right, that it's like almost needing to turn your pitching brain off sometimes so that you can really hear what somebody's saying?
More about, I think I've been working on refining that pitch, right? And as you know, Morgan, I have different titles, so it depends on who my audience is, of what I'm going to say. If it's in front of a room, that's different, because you're prepared, who you're going to talk to. But if it's in let's say when we're at 1 million cups and we're showing up at 9 a.m. to have some coffee together before we hear our speaker, and I get asked that question, sometimes that's the moment of pitching that I don't like, is, oh, so what do you do? Oh, well, and it makes me too logical, instead of opening up that conversation, versus like if someone were to ask me, what brings you here today, or what's top of mind, there's probably a million I can come up with, but I think you get the idea, I hope.
So really looking for that natural flow in a conversation as opposed to driving directly to the pitch. How about the fear of bothering someone by following up, or bothering them with your pitch? Does that ever feel like something anybody feels?
The follow-up, I think, more so.
Follow up. Yeah. So that fear of like bothering someone, of waiting. So there's a lot that can feel icky when it comes to pitching. Like, when does it come up in a conversation? How do you follow up with somebody? How do you do all of these things, knowing that you like started a business really trying to help people, but now you're out here door to door salesmaning it, trying to also make that paycheck. So lots here when it comes to pitching fears. Thank you guys so much for sharing. And now we're going to pivot a little bit to 3 things you feel confident about pitching. So like when you're in that scenario where you're like really vibing with someone, or you get the pitch and man, they are on top of it with you, they're picking up what you're putting down, what really feels good there? And you can take a second to write this down, but I'm wondering, like, let's just go straight into conversation here. Like, what do you guys think feels good about pitching? When do you feel confident? I see a hand raised. Catherine?
I know I'm a really passionate person, and I am never pitching something that I'm not passionate about. So that's one thing I feel really confident in, that I'm always coming from a place of, both feet jumped all in. I really believe in anything I ever try to pitch.
Beautiful. So really believing in it. What else, guys?
I know I feel most confident when in conversation, it's clear that I know how to meet a very specific need. I got this. I can take care of you. No problem. Let's get started.
Beautiful. So having that powerful intention and then being ready to get started, like knowing exactly the puzzle piece that you can fill somebody's like pain with.
It's like a need, when the need becomes obvious, and I also know how to satisfy it.
Ooh, beautiful. All right, let's hear one more confidence.
I feel really good knowing that I sell a total solution rather than just a one-off, like gonna answer one of your questions, but not actually show you how the entire process works. And I won't sell you a one-off coaching session because I want you to have the entire, a good foundation.
Wow. It seems like there is this double-edged sword of intentionality here where we know that we're like coming from this place of really trying to impact people's lives. And when you're able to provide that exact puzzle piece, that full service solution, maybe you get like goosebumps or even like get a little excited and get giddy when you're working through that pitch. Is that right for folks? Let's see a raise of hands. Yeah. Awesome. So several folks there. We're going to keep chugging along here and we're going to get right into this pitching conversation. So this is where you can follow along in some notes in that worksheet. And we're going to take a second and talk about audience. And I want to like kind of talk through these questions with you guys here today. So as you're crafting your pitch, you really want to be thinking about who is it that you're pitching to. And these questions are all specifically designed to get you focused in on that ideal audience, but there's a couple of questions here that I want us to hone in on. And one of those is what questions will actually qualify your leads as a part of a conversation? Because this is where the intention and the intentionality meets the road, that puzzle piece meets the road. You know what your packages and services are. You might know what problem that you're solving, but what are those questions that you can ask in a conversation that tells you that that person is trying to solve the problem that you have a solution for? I'll give an example for myself as a career coach and salary advisor. If I get into a conversation with somebody and they tell me they're unhappy with their current role, I might ask if they're looking for new opportunities. And if they say yeah, well then I know that my pitching window has just opened up and that I can kind of start talking about my services. Let's hear from some other folks. What kind of qualifying questions might you be able to ask in a conversation?
Morgan, are you talking about like in the consultation or like if you meet someone out and about?
Yeah, great clarifying question. If you meet somebody out and about, say either out and about or through a online networking situation, maybe you're on LinkedIn and you're trying to gain more information from them before you can know, like, do I want to pitch this person?
Well, I can just like speak to that. So what I first try to do is be curious about what they do. So if in like a LinkedIn situation, investing my interest in them and then getting them to talk about themselves allows me to just kind of hone in on, where we can steer the conversation first before I even start thinking about if it's possible that I pitch. So I'm more interested in like just connecting and staying curious with people. And since I have a variety of offers, if that works. And sometimes that's just continuing to connect. And so maybe like for me is kind of getting closing the gap of when I actually get to my services.
Yeah, I love that you're
getting
bringing
to the
in
pitch
this,
sooner.
You're bringing this in this aspect of like allowing them to qualify themselves for your specific product offering. You in particular, Jackie, have so many routes that you can take somebody down. So staying curious as long as possible really helps you gain more information to pitch to them specifically. I'm curious, what other questions might we ask? Tali, how about you? Like when you're in that networking situation, is there a particular question that you might ask to tell you whether or not like you're headed towards a pitch?
I haven't really gone into networking situations with that intent, so I haven't really tried that. But I think if I were to put on that hat, probably something along the lines of, well, no, if I know that somebody's interviewing, asking like, are you looking for support with that? Are you happy with how your interviews are going?
Yeah, I love that your questions were specifically around how are they going, or like if further examining that pain. Let's hear from one other person, maybe Candace. How about you?
I'm pretty lucky in the sense that like I just get to talk about money all the time. And so I get to see how people react to money when I talk about it. And then I get to be like, well, hey, you know, like, do you like the way you feel about money? Do you want to feel differently? Do you know what's holding you back? Like, you want to talk about it? I get pretty.
Ooh, those questions just like gave me chills. I loved those. Those were such strategic questions that what is the response from folks whenever you pose those kinds of questions?
I mean, it's as varied as relationships to money, but a lot of times, like my particular people that I work with, not only do they respond with this kind of like, ooh, closed down kind of body posture, but there's like, I feel this kind of energetic resonance in my body with them. Like there's a magnetism that I feel. Because I know that there's a lot of people out there who do money stuff. And so it's nice to see like, okay, this person might be a good fit for me too, you know?
How do you allow that magnetism and energy to lead you through the conversation?
Oh, I have a lot of practices around being in my body and just kind of following my own body's energy, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to get into it too much, but like, have you ever spent a whole day letting one part of your body make decisions for you?
No, but everybody has homework now.
My favorite one is your junk. I'm just gonna put it out there. Like it's a really fun way to make decisions all day. So just an idea. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, so does anybody else, I want to see like a show of hands, who like allows their magnetism or their energy to kind of lead them through a pitching situation? See a couple of hands? Okay, lots more hands. So it really is this energetic thing that, you know, where our spidey senses are tingling and we're trying to navigate through this conversation and see what is the right moment, what is the right time. This is really a skill, which is why we're chatting about it today. So we talked a little bit about personas. Now we're going to talk more specifically about the pitch that you are bringing to the table. These are some of the specific elements of a pitch that you might want to have, but what we're talking about today with this like conversational approach to pitching, you're likely almost never going to show up and just like yell your pitch at someone in a networking or internet-based conversation. As we've said, like the pitch is almost at the very end. So you want to have these pieces put together in your mind, but it can almost act as a flow chart for you to think like, okay, are they experiencing the pain that I'm trying to solve for? Do they need X product from me or do they need Y product from me? Are they looking for the kinds of results that I can bring to the table? And the specific thing that I want to land on here is how you drive the moment, and specifically how you make a call to action during the like end of your pitch, essentially. So once you have magnetize them, once they are excited about the conversation that you're having, once you've fully understood their pain and you've given a glimpse into how you have helped solve that problem for other people, it comes time for that ask, which is ultimately the pitch. You know, everything else is information for that person, but once you get to that call to the action, it's like, let's schedule some time. Are you ready to sell? Like, how do you get to that moment? So I'm curious, let's hear from you guys. What do you do in that networking, either one-on-one or internet scenario, to drive to a call to action? Like, what is your favorite call to action? Let's hear them.
I'll go. I have a fun funnel that I like to enjoy. I have a money quiz and it takes like 2 minutes. But what I love about it is that it gets people involved with my work immediately, and they start to think about money in a different way within that 2 minutes. And with it, I get their email address. I only use them if they like consent to me using it for like whatever. But like it's a fun way to just kind of get something started and plant a seed.
Ooh, I love that. So you're not even doing that in conversation. It's more of a quiz that they can take separately from you. So in a conversation, would you say, "Hey, go take my quiz"? Would that be your call to action?
Sometimes it kind of depends on where the person's at. Otherwise, honestly, I just tell people to get on my calendar and just continue the conversation. Like I have a free 30-minute fit finder. Just sign up for that and we'll just talk about it and see where they're at.
Beautiful. Sarah, we haven't heard from you yet. What is your usual call to action when you're trying to close out a pitch?
I'm being quiet because I don't really do that. I haven't done it. I'm also just starting a new business, and actually it's going to be Instagram based. It's going to be promoting myself on Instagram. So I guess my pitch is going to be finding ways to project what I do. And my business is going to be very much about me being authentic and seeing the good and the bad. And I think I'm trying to appeal to people who want see me as a human being and see that it's not all rosy. And so I have actually not pitched, and I've done all kinds of other things. I've been a jeweler, and I've done interior design, but kind of more so I let things come to me, which is probably really bad business. But the other thing about that is interestingly, talking about pitch, because it's just come up on my agenda. Your SCORE, I don't know if people are familiar with SCORE, there's a women's pitch competition and it finishes next week. So I'm just like soaking this in. I'm like thinking to put in for it. So it's a pitch, but it's about finances, but all this is relevant. So I'm kind of watching and learning. So it's not that I don't like talking, because I'll definitely talk if I've got something good to say.
Well, if you're going to be selling yourself on Instagram, you're going to have to be talking a lot with those reels. So as you think about those pitches, come back and let us know. Let's hear from maybe one other person. Like, how do you drive to action in that moment when you're in a pitch conversation? How about Crispin?
Sure, yes, I was about to raise my hand.
Called you. Got it.
So probably the most effective sales moment for me is on an inquiry call. So if I were networking with somebody, I would want to schedule that inquiry call, like get it on the calendar while I'm in the room. But before that, making the transition to getting permission to pitch them, I might say, I will have figured out which kind of client they are. I kind of have two main streams, and so I might say something like, I don't want to overstep, but it seems like what I do might be really effective for you. Would you like to set up a time to talk about it? So asking permission in the moment to give the pitch, or if they want, or if it's not too crowded, I might say, would you like to hear about my services? No pressure, but we could talk about that now if you like. So it's the asking permission moment that seems really effective.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, Crispin. Asking for permission is an incredibly powerful tactic when it comes to pitching, because what you're doing is inviting your audience in. You're saying like, hey, I can give this to you or not. And then maybe it can like remove some of that like icky guilt we were talking about earlier. So if you have asked for permission for this person to say like, hey, do you want to hear about my services? I think I can help. Then you get, and they say yes, you then get free reign to talk about the thing that you have decided to dedicate your life to and love so much. So that is incredibly powerful. I also want to highlight our friend over here. I don't know if you are all familiar with The Office. It's pretty dated at this point, wild. But I included this one specifically to talk about the power of silence when it comes to pitching. So giving people space to like think, like when you ask a question, you know, what is your relationship with money is maybe a question that Candace had posed earlier. Taking that second to say, to be silent and to allow them to sort through, ooh, that's a intense question, and it moves through their body and they've got to think about it. So using that silence to like allow them the space to consider, to evaluate, and then respond in their own time. Frankly, this was something that was really, really challenging for me. I do not have a pitching background prior to starting my business. I was not a salesperson. And so learning to allow for space in conversation and be even uncomfortable is a wildly powerful tactic, even when you're making them uncomfortable. Sometimes you're like trying to drive to that sale, or you're trying to like ask them to take that step, and you've got to stand on the precipice with them and wait it out. And it can go either way, but that is the joy of pitching. Does anybody ever use silence as a tactic when pitching? I see a hand. Yeah, Catherine, how has that gone for you in the past?
Oh, there's in almost every part of my life, I try to remind myself how important it is to not, it takes effort to not fill in that, there's a idea of like, oh, the angel of silence has flown over us, right? And just like sort of appreciating that space, because it's so easy and instinctive to just fill it in. And that's like sort of a people pleasing behavior, to fill in that space, and it doesn't help. It's much better to let the other person try to fill it in.
Yes, let them pitch to you, right? Almost. Okay, I'm gonna keep us moving here because we gotta.
Morgan, just
Yes.
really quick, I want to acknowledge Craig's comment in the chat,
Oh,
since he can't.
yeah. Sorry, I don't have the chat up. Craig, or Matthew, can you read it for me?
Yeah, it says, mine at the end of an in-person pitch, quote, "Do you think I can help you with insert client goal here? If yes, then follow up with summary of next steps. Any thoughts on this?"
Ooh, okay, so I've got it up here now. Let me read. I like that, Craig, you're asking like, can I help you with this? Or like, it goes back to that, like, do you need support question? With the following up of the summary of next steps, that's where the tenacity of pitching really comes in, right? Because having that conversation, that initial yes, isn't the same necessarily always as handing over money, which is really that conversion that we're trying to drive to. So once you get that initial yes, then the work really starts, right? Of having to follow up with them once, twice, 7 times, 9 times, going back to our meme from the previous slide of like, you continuing to show up until they tell you to go away. So yeah, thank you so much, Craig, for bringing that in. I'm going to mention really quickly the relationship building funnel. I think this really gets at what Jackie was talking about earlier with leading with curiosity. You cannot expect anyone to want to buy from you, unless you're selling something people are very familiar with. They might not buy from you in the know stage. When you're just getting to know someone, you need to be asking questions, understanding their unique passions and problems, and really bringing in those qualifying questions that we were talking about earlier to understand what their pain is. In this know phase, it's all about them and really should not even like include a ton about you. I like to not tell people what it is that I do until I have heard their problems and until I know if it's like a good solution for them. I see Candace like shaking her head because I sell job support. I know we're going to get to it. I know you're going to complain about your job. So we'll get there eventually. The next kind of phase here is like. So once the person has started to like you, once they've seen that you're like genuinely curious about their situation, then you can start recommending these personalized solutions. I might say something like, as a career coach, I recommend that your resume be 1 page or something, providing these little bits of goodness that are specific to their pain points so that they can start seeing how you fit into that puzzle piece that we were talking about earlier. And then finally, the trust stage is when you make that ask, whether you are a candidate talking to a potential hiring manager, whether you are selling something and are ready to go in for that conversion kill. The trust moment is where people buy from you most frequently. And a couple of key pieces of advice that I have here. So use this funnel to qualify your leads. Qualify them when you're just getting to know them, so that, you know, if they're not a good lead, then you haven't gone through this entire motion to get to the trust phase with somebody who's not looking for your services. Really work to understand their pain, use that tenacity when you're following up. You know, when I say bury the lead here, I mean, wait for that right moment when they have expressed the pain that you know that you can solve. And then finally, you don't get what you don't ask for. This is something I yell at the top of my lungs to clients all the time. And as entrepreneurs, we have to make the ask. It is something that is critical. So to be able to get that sale. I'm checking our chat here real fast. I see Catherine had a note. I find yes or no questions sometimes less helpful than a slightly more open-ended question. Yes. I absolutely love to ask questions that do not have a yes or no answer. This is something that takes practice, but as you're considering those questions, you know, just getting a yes or a no from someone doesn't continue the conversation. So try to really purposefully ask questions that are open-ended and allow for further conversation. There's a negotiation book that's really good that I am thinking of that I will recommend in a moment when it comes to me. Beautiful. All right, we're going to move into some mock pitching now. So we're going to do a little practice here. I know that Matthew has our groups ready to go. Beautiful. So in this next pitching practice session, you're going to have 10 minutes, and then we're going to come back together with 2 minutes left. So we're going to have to hear from everybody really, really fast. But when you're in your pitch conversations, I want you to ask questions of your partner. Get to know them. What are their needs? Think about burying that lead and really hearing from them. And then be listening for that window. When is the right moment for you to come in and share what it is that you do or the services that you're providing? Be trying to tailor your pitch to the exact scenario that they're in. And then ask these close the deal questions. Does it make sense for me to follow up with you? Does it make sense for us to put time on the calendar? Does it make sense for us to meet about this later today? Or then, like, what would it take? What would it take for us to resolve this issue for you? What would it take for you to want to solve this problem for yourself? And then close with that action of, actually, let's book some time on my calendar. Pull out your phone, put the time on your calendar, do the thing right then and there. When we come back, we'll share really quickly who you partnered with, what they were pitching, and how they tailored their pitch directly to your needs. All right, Matthew, take us into, or actually, any questions before we do breakout rooms?
Can you remind us of the timing? Is it 10 minutes or?
Yep, 10 minutes, so about 5 minutes apiece, everybody.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to open up the rooms. And Craig, FYI, I'm putting you in a room with 2 people. So if you need to just be in listen only mode, you're welcome to do that. Otherwise, here we go. Opening all the rooms. Go get to your room. Go get to your room. I don't have kids, so I never get to say that. So go to your room. Say that to you all. There you go.
Hey.
All right, so your timer's on. So yeah, let's see.
Beautiful. Well, we'll have to be fast at the end. I know we're gonna be right at time. So
I'll bring them back at we'll make it 9 minutes.
make it 9 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll bring them back with 1 minute to spare.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, that's good. Yay. Awesome. Oh, how's it going?
How's it going?
Oh, jeez, I'm so busy, girl. I literally yesterday, pretty much my consistent flow is like at least Monday through Wednesday. Well, Monday and Tuesday, I'm working pretty much from 6 a.m. to like question mark bedtime, you know? So, that's what it is. And then Wednesday, I do tend to taper off as the week goes. So I go strong and hard at the beginning of the week, and then it kind of like fades down. But so far it's been pretty heavy lifting. I have one contract that's in full force, going well. Lots of work with that one. I mean, I have to actually say no to things with that contract because it's so much work that I can't do everything that's being asked of me. I have another contract that is ramping up. I'm working on a marketing strategy plan for an arts organization called the African American Writers Alliance. And we're in the final stages of doing the marketing strategy plan so that we can get into the weekly marketing, because they have a conference coming up called the Genius Conference. So I'm helping them with that. I've got my music client in Seattle that I'm still supporting, which I think, did I send you? Were you on you should have been on my email list. I'm going to 2 events, one on Friday, one on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm like going to some Seattle art events to kind of support some of the network building in the arts space. And then on Saturday night, one of my clients has a connection, like this, one of their board members is performing, and anyway, so yeah, no, just really busy. And then I'm leaving on Monday, driving for 10 hours down to Southern Oregon to go into 2 back-to-back retreats. One is for the Accounting Alchemy Network, which is the community I built, grassroots movement, helping folks, helping accounting professionals prioritize people and planet over profit. And then I'm going into like a more hippy dippy retreat immediately right after that one, where it's like, I don't even know what I signed up for. It's just like, we're gonna like commune with folks and like talk about nature and get grounded and do a lot of meditating and like, yoga and whatever, and something else about social change and impact. Yeah, and then I'm farm sitting for 2 weeks. That same place down in Southern Oregon. So then I'll be on this weird farm schedule for 2 weeks. Because basically at a farm, things happen in the morning, and then there's a routine in the afternoon to make sure none of the animals have killed themselves. And then there's a routine in the evening to make sure that the animals go to bed and don't get eaten by foxes, like that kind of stuff. So, and milking goats and, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to be like in the throes of farm sitting for 2 weeks whilst I am sort of holding my client work, which is going to be a lot. But the cool thing about going down to the farm is like I get laser focused. There's no distractions. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I can't go run and get coffee. I can't go to the grocery store and like pick up something quickly. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be like, and container, so which will be nice. So busy is, I guess, the moral of my yeah.
Yeah, Matthew, that's a lot going on. Well, hopefully you'll be able to like unplug a little bit during the retreat before you get too busy milking goats.
Yeah. Though I think milking goats is a really interesting way of starting your day. Because it's like you have to contend with an animal. Like it's not, and this animal isn't like, it isn't like excited about it. So you have to like, really get in there and be quick and do your thing, and it's an interesting like morning activity. Have you ever milked a goat before?
I have, yeah. So I grew up on a quarter horse ranch, and we had goats and horses.
So
and
you know how it is. You got to kind of get behind them and like, all right, we're gonna do this. And
Here we
did you
go.
like put them on the stand and like get
Yeah.
their head in the thing and do the things? Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
scream. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard the screaming before.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah.
we had some goats that were definitely screamers.
Oh God, did you milk them by hand or did you have a machine?
It was by hand. It wasn't like often. It was only when they were like nursing.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily do it like for milk or anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this farm they do it for the milk and for cheese. So it's every morning.
Yeah.
And if she's nursing, that udder is full. And I have sat there milking a goat for like 30 minutes, which, like after 30 minutes of doing this, like your forearms get sore. And then you do that for 2 weeks solid. It's like,
You're gonna have forearms of steel.
I know, after your hands stop falling apart, it's like, I gotta, Yeah. So I just hope that I don't like the boy goats. They're aggressive and mean and like in your face about shit. So I'm like hoping that I hope she slaughtered it. It sounds bad, but I'm like, oh, I hope I don't have to deal with the boy goat. Because they're just disgusting.
Yeah, they're stinky, and that's how they're meant to be. Yeah,
Yeah.
and mean. Well, Matthew, I've got a question for you. I was wondering, like, you work with a lot of nonprofits, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey there,
Alex, what happened?
Alex.
Sorry, I just had to drop real quick because I have an interview in 5 minutes. So
Oh,
You do.
yeah,
go win that interview, man. Make it happen. You're ready to
Alright.
pitch. I like it.
I appreciate everything I learned today. So thank y'all.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, go in and crush it. You've got this.
All right.
Job.
Yeah.
Jackie, welcome. Morgan was about to ask me a question. So Morgan, did you want to finish your question?
Yeah, which I'm glad that Jackie's here because now I've got like my whole board of directors. So this is perfect.
Hit it.
Okay, so you work a lot with nonprofits. I'm trying to figure out how to offer my negotiation workshops to more nonprofits, slash trying to figure out how to propose it from a business perspective, but I don't have a sense of like what businesses need. I don't think they would want to talk about negotiation. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I already have an idea, but finish your thought and then I can go.
Give it to me.
Yeah, negotiating equitable compensation with your staff under limited resources. That's one of the biggest challenges because like there's a lot of work to be done. There's not a ton of money. So we all already know in the nonprofit, we're probably not going to be making as much as our corporate friends doing the exact same things, but we still have bills to pay. And nonprofits tend to be inclined towards mission work, obviously, and doing good. And so they want their compensation to be equitable, but so they need to be able to negotiate with the team members and say like, hey, here's what I can afford. And here, and I think like creating, like a body of work around that could be really helpful for nonprofits. So,
Ooh,
and I have a guinea pig. I have a guinea pig if you're interested, because I have a client of mine who is in the throes of money conversations, and part of it is about equitable compensation. And if you want to talk to a nonprofit about like what negotiation could look like, I can introduce you to them. So, but that's one idea.
Number one, I love that. Number two, yes, let's do it. Let's go ahead and bring everybody back here now, just so we can wrap, and then we'll chat more.
Okay, close all rooms. Bringing them back. Come on back. Jackie's got her yellow jacket on. She's in the car. She's going places. She's doing things. She's getting it done. I love it.
I'm in LA.
Exactly.
In
Is
LA.
it still sunny? Yeah. Is it still sunny in Seattle? I was so sad to leave. I'm like, no, it's just finally perfect.
Yeah.
Less sunny. It is less sunny today.
Yeah.
Oh. It's kind of chilly here. I mean, the sun's out, but it's so hazy. Pollution.
Where in LA are you?
San Fernando Valley. It's where I grew up, taking care of moms.
Yeah.
And my
They
niece.
must be talking down there. They got a lot of. Okay, there they are. They're back. They're
There we
coming.
go.
There you go.
Breakout rooms in 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. Here we go. Come on back. So, yay.
I'm testing my mic. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Here you go. Okay, is this everybody we have?
No, there's 2 more seconds. Okay, yeah, they were in the throes of conversing is what was happening.
Beautiful.
Deeply enthralled. Hit it.
Okay, awesome. Welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and pick us up here as we are right at time. If folks have some extra time, we can hang on after, but I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So today we conquered our pitching fears, we examined our audience, and we practiced conversational pitching with each other. Go forth, make your asks, absolutely crush it. You're all superstars, and we hope to see you next week at the next 1 million cups. If you want to connect with me, you can do so here via this QR code. Thank you all so much for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Yay. Ciao, y'all.
Okay, now that we've said that, is there any questions or like how did your guys' kind of one-on-one conversations go, if you can hang on? Yeah, Catherine.
So I feel what was really helpful about our one-on-one is we both identified what is the pain point that we're listening for. So we really kind of clarified that for ourselves. So that helps us understand in an organic conversation what to listen for and how to maybe guide the conversation while still bearing the lead. So I felt that was very helpful for both of us. What I didn't achieve is that I feel like I need a 30-second crisp explanation of what my differentiator is from my competition. And that's what I'm still like, breaking it down to 30 seconds or whatever, making it crisp and compelling. That's where I feel a little bit hung up.
Do you have do you want 1 minute to workshop this?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we can try. I'm just not thinking that way. So I help people with home loans. So I'm listening for people's housing status and satisfaction to figure out where a home loan might be important to them. But then if we, oh, you do mortgages. Oh, well, that's funny because we just started looking for a house. Great. Then I need to say, oh, so what's your financing plan? Yeah, well, we're just talking to, a bunch of banks or whatever. And then it's that, oh, well, what you need, what I think you need is customized experience. I don't know. You know what I mean? That's the part where I go, I get tongue tied.
Okay. Well, first of all, does anybody else have thoughts for Catherine as far as differentiators here?
I do, but it's more because I was in with Catherine. So only that I think we have to believe in our uniqueness, like our personal uniqueness. Yes, there are a billion people out there doing the same things. But I do believe in I don't believe in fate, but I believe in like you connect with somebody. Do you like that person? Do you trust them? Do you want to sit down and spend your time with them? Do you want to have a coffee with them? To me, I think we need to believe a little more in ourselves and just that we as a personality either draw people in or repel people or they're neutral. And last week I met somebody on 2 weeks ago, I met somebody on 1 Million Cups and we happened to be in a breakout room together. Well, I've continued the connection with him because I just felt so connected to him in that conversation. And I may use his services. That's what I want to see, is just rather than this like pitch of like, well, what do I do? Who am I? What have I got to offer you? Do you feel my energy? Do you feel, a connection with me as a person? And I think we should value that in ourselves a bit more.
Oh, Sarah, that was excellent. And honestly, like right in alignment with what I wanted to share with Catherine as well, which is like, you can be your unique differentiator. Like the person that you are, the energy that you bring, the whether it's the honesty that you're going to share, the wisdom that you share, because you've been in mortgage for it was like 15 plus years, right? You've been doing this for a very long time. So when people work with you, they're getting your specific brand of knowledge, of decades of knowledge. They're getting your personality, whether that is, are you a truth teller? Are you going to shoot them straight? Are you going to bring levity to the process? Are you going to be their best friend through this? Whatever the energy is that you possess, like that is your differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what I just think. So Catherine and I have actually had coffee together a few years ago. Now, I liked Catherine. I just warmed to you. I liked how you dressed. I liked your funky, shirt you were wearing. I was drawn to you as a person. And that is why I followed up, because there are a billion gazillion mortgage people out there. But I came across you on that particular day and my need was met on that day. So because I feel, just throughout this session, just hearing people say, oh, I feel yucky about this. If you're doing something you believe in, if you doing something that's meaningful to you, that authenticity is going to show. If you don't really care one jot about finances and mortgages, it's going to show. So it's like, that's why, you know, I've kind of been quiet, because it just, I feel like on this different road, a different path of the rest of my, you know, maybe I hit a midlife crisis. Like, this is the point in my life where it's like, I got to do something meaningful. And that's about me. Like, and the other thing that I'm struggling with is you got to have a ton of experience. You got to say, you know, experience has got to be the thing that people love. And actually, you know what? Everybody has a first day. Bill Gates had a first day. Warren Buffett had a first day. Whoever you think of is, you know, they just came to my mind. And I'm just a bit, I don't want to follow that treadmill of, you know, this is a business, this is how we do it, this is how we market ourselves. It's like, it's more and more about authenticity, as far as I can see, is you draw people in. That's why Instagram is such a huge thing. That's why people are following people who show them the mundane things in life. There's a personal connection. And I think everybody should be using their personal connection and what they offer as a personality above how much experience they've had. You know, it's that personal connection.
I feel bad for everyone who has dropped off that missed the mastermind that Sarah just laid on us. And Sarah, is our next workshop going to be on authenticity led by you?
Yes.
I think it should be. Absolutely.
Well, okay.
Can I just say, Morgan, I agree 100% with Sarah, and I like Sarah a lot too, although I don't remember what shirt I wore to my meeting with her. But my industry is unusually time sensitive, and you know, because when people are needing to buy, they need to make a decision really quickly. So they do need to do a gut check. They do need to feel confident in that person, but they're often on overwhelm and they're making a decision very, very quickly. And so it is important to drill past the bullshit, you know. And so it is true that my authenticity is why I can be trusted as a mortgage banker, because I'm going to take the extra time to show them all the options and not just give them the easiest thing. And I'm going to take the time to make sure they're getting a good value and all of that stuff. But people don't necessarily intuit how that, but when it gets down to the stepping onto the altar, people think they have to, because it's the biggest amount of money they've ever spent. So they think that they have to be smart about the dollars, which they do, but they often think they're making a smart dollar choice and they're not, and they don't. And so that's the thing, is like, it's true that my genuine compassion and empathy for my clients, the fact that I can remember my clients' kids' names from 20 years ago, I really do care about my clients, and that's why because I also have the gray matter, that's why I do a good job. But that's not enough for people to make that decision, because they might get, there's a lot of misleading competitors out there who might say, oh my gosh, if you're paying 5%, you're paying too much, and forget to mention to them that that program isn't a good value. So somehow I need to tell people that the tangible, because people really do get, some people get really rate sensitive or fee sensitive, right? At some point you have to take the bull by the horns and help them know that the tangible bottom line comes from having this kind of a diligent worker with integrity working on your team. But they have to make that connection, that dollars and cents does connect to that person who's going to work for you, and not just, but people don't know what they don't know about the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm wondering if like this is part of your qualifying question process, is this question of like, do you want somebody who's going to tell you what the current rates are and their expert opinion in how those programs best fit your life? Like, if yes, then they need to talk to you. So I'm wondering if there's like a truth telling here, where you can be upfront about this particular piece, because what you're really doing is like getting at the roadblocks that they don't even know about. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the roadblocks that they don't know about. And this is why I don't market myself on social media. Most of my competitors do, and most of my competitors pay a lot of money for leads, and I don't do that. I just get personalized referrals, because once I really do get in front of somebody, they immediately know that it's a really different experience than the last person that they talked to. It's more just that I can't work with anonymous shoppers who aren't able to answer that question. But when I'm in person with someone, I still feel like, I don't know, it's just so competitive in my field, and I just need people. I'm probably a writer. I just need to sit down and write a thing that explains the tangible value of my work ethic.
Can I also say that I think that I've just lost my thought. Hold on.
I have to hop, but can I just say that I just wanted to say that when you said I cut the BS, and actually if you told me like I cut the bullshit and I just, help you make smarter decisions with your dollar and not, put the, take the kind of glitter out of your eye. I like that approach a lot. So what you said in that moment, I think that's would be a great part of the pitch, and it would resonate with me.
Thank you.
I think that's right. And I think what I don't like is when people say, oh, the competition is, sort of badmouth the competition. But what you could say is, on a positive spin, is like, has the other person that you're talking to, have they mentioned this or this? You might want to question that. You might want to look out for that. I'm fully aware of these things, like not the hard sell, but come back to me if you find that they haven't given you those answers and you'd like to talk about it further.
Thank you, Sarah. You're so sweet. I really like you.
Well, thank you. I like you too.
Well, y'all, we're almost 15 minutes over here. So once again, we've had an incredible 1 million cups session.